A market of 20 million people, literally on the other side of the planet, in case you hadn't worked that out, and a market literally 20 miles away across the Channel with 500 million people.
I tell you what's
who would you do a deal with, Nigel?
Tell you what's
If it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. You've just heard it from Nigel Farage. You'll hear it from him all evening. He'll say that we can quit the European Union, we can isolate ourselves in the world and still protect jobs, still protect trade, still punch above our weight.
I tell you what's
who would you do a deal with, Nigel?
Tell you what.
What kind of? How would we? What would we be negotiating?
What we'd be doing is getting out of political union with Europe and rejoining the world. You know, at the moment, it's incredible, really. We're the 5th or 6th biggest economy in the world, depending what measure you use, and we're actually banned from making our own trade deals with any other part of the world. But I believe it's actually one of the most underused potential clubs in the world, and I'll tell you why. It isn't a relic of empire, it's become something modern and new. And there are actually African countries who were never part of the British Empire who are considering joining it. So people do see it as having some value. And it's got some things that it shares. English language, common law, a shared sense of history. And I think we underuse it massively. I quite accept that there are different values.
What would we use it for, Nigel?
Well, let me explain.
OK.
Let me explain. 2 billion people live within those Commonwealth countries. Some of those countries are the most dynamic, booming global economies in the world. And what I would like to see is the Commonwealth turned into something that would be a free trade club.
Okay.
And that would not just benefit the rich, it would help Black Africa to sell its agricultural produce to countries like ours. Little Switzerland has more free trade deals with the 30 biggest economies in the world than we do. All of which goes to show, with the WTO having basically got as far as it can, bilateralism is the way forward, and if a little country like Switzerland can do it, then much bigger trading nations like you and I can do it.
Well, this point is often made, that a country like Britain is only 62 million people, and aren't we better off being part of a big European club, so that we can have more of a voice on the world stage? Funny that, isn't it? Here's Britain, the world's 5th largest trading nation, who are now prohibited from going in to World Trade Organisation talks, because all of that is done on our behalf by an unelected European Commissioner. And the answer actually, Mr Duff, is that an independent trade relationships across the world, and it would make sense for a country like ours to start off with the English speaking world, who share common law, our own kith and kin in the Commonwealth, who we turned our backs on so shamefully.
Take heart from the fact that yesterday the Prime Ministers of Australia and New Zealand said they're in a race for who could be the first country to do a trade deal with Britain outside the EU.